Hello and welcome to CS3 Photoshop practice number 2. Today we're going to do a second photo collage practice, and again you're going to need to open up some files that are located on the P drive. You're going to come over here to File, Open. You're going to come over here to Computer, click down here on the P drive. Come down to the folder called Photo Demo Examples, and you're going to go to Photo Collage Practice number 2. In this folder you're going to open the base image coral reef. You're going to hold down the Control key. Make sure you open the JPEG coral reef, underwater rays, fish 1, fish 2, and sunflower. You should have 5 files highlighted, and you're going to click on Open. It's going to open all of those files, and you can see that right here going across. Okay, so the first thing we want to go to is underwater rays. Here we go, we're on underwater rays. If you're not sure how to get there, you would click under Window and you would select Underwater Rays, or you would just click on it right here. Okay, but we're going to click on it right there and go to Underwater Rays. We're going to come up here to Select All, and we're going to go to Edit, Copy. We're going to come over here now to Coral Reef. There is the coral reef. And we're going to go Edit Paste. Okay, so the sun rays is above the layer, the background layer. The background layer is our coral reef. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to name this layer, instead of it being called Layer 1, we're going to name it Coral Reef. We're going to name it Rays. Okay? All right. Now, we want to change the opacity to 50% right here in the layers dialog box. We're going to come up here and go to 50%. Okay? So now you can see the coral reef and the fish in the background. Now we're going to come up here to our Move tool, and we want to make sure our Show Transform Controls is clicked on. And you will notice that the image is too large and needs to be adjusted to be smaller to fit better over the coral reef image. So if we go Control minus and zoom out, we can see right here just how large it is. And it needs to be adjusted. So we're going to hold down our Shift key, and we're going to go over here to our little square corner here, and we are going to hold the Shift key so that stays in proper proportion, and we're going to move it into place until we like the way it looks. Right about there, looks good. And now if we look at our rays over here, we're going to place this. We're going to notice that the rays thumbnail will blink. Okay, do you see how that blinked over there? That means that we're placing this, and that's exactly what we need to do. Okay. Now we're going to put a layer mask on the underwater rays. And that's the layer mask right there. Okay. It says Add a Layer Mask. So we're going to click on that. It's basically a little gray square with a white circle in the middle. Now we're going to click in the layer mask thumbnail, and we're going to come up here and we're going to select a brush right here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tools down on the vertical toolbar. We're going to select the soft brush right here. Nice soft brush. We're going to make it about 1100. Alright, that's too big, so I'm going to make it smaller to about 1100. We're going to set the foreground color to black, the background color to white, and we're going to make sure that our brush is set to 50% on our horizontal toolbar here. And now we're going to use the paintbrush to remove some of the bottom left side of the image on the underwater rays. So we're just going to move this across like this so that we still have some rays coming down, but now we're revealing the blue in the background layer here. And you can see it right here on the thumbnail, how it's kind of grayish black here in the left corner. Okay. Now we're going to come down here to step 3, and we're going to go to fish number 1. We are going to use our quick selection tool, which is 4 tools down. We're going to make sure we click on the Add to Selection button. And we are going to select our fish here. We want to have about a 45 brush size. We're just going to carefully go around, moving very slowly, and just kind of a swooping motion with our mouse here. And we're just going to carefully select our fish until we have their entire fish selected. And if we come up here to refine edge, I need to select more. So I'm actually going to make my brush even smaller. I'm going to go down to like a 20. And I'm going to go really close in here. Alright, now come back up here to refine edge. Okay, I'm going to work on my edge, and I'm going to adjust the radius. I'm going to smooth it out a little bit so it's nice and smooth. I'm going to feather it a little bit so it blurs on the edge. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast and say OK. Now I'm going to come up here to Edit Copy. Go back to my coral reef and go Edit Paste. And now I want to resize the fish by clicking on the Move tool right here at the very top. And I am going to click on the corner little box there. And I'm also going to hold down the Shift key. And I'm going to adjust my fish a little bit so it matches the size of the other fishes. And then I'm going to also rotate it by coming over here to the corner, and I see my little arrow, and I'm going to adjust it slightly. And now I'm going to place it. Okay. And I'm going to click Enter. Now watch what happens down here on this layer. We're going to go Enter. It kind of jumps a little bit. Now I'm going to rename this layer to Fish 1. Okay. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to adjust the opacity of my fish to about 50%. Now I'm going to do the same thing, everything that I did to fish 1, I'm going to do to fish 2. So I'm going to come back here, go in with my quick selection tool. I'm going to select my fish. Okay. I over selected my fish, so I'm going to want to definitely go back in and fix that. Okay. So I'm going to go Control plus, get in really close on that fish. I'm going to make a really tiny brush, and I'm going to come around this edge here and use my navigator tool to kind of go all the way around the fish and just select it a little better. Alright, I want to bring this in right here a little bit. Go back to my Add to Selection tool and add a little more here. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here down here. Going to use my negative one and come in like this. Bring it along there. Okay, move this over. I'm going to add to the fish there. Go back to the plus. So the selections on this project are a little more difficult than the last project we worked on. I'm going to make the small, very tiny brush and go into the mouth a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to Refine Edge, crop out so I can look at my fish selection a little better. And I'm going to smooth, adjust the radius. I'm going to feather a little bit, contrast, add a little more contrast. Maybe bring my radius back a little bit. Feather back a little bit, add a little more contrast, and say, okay. Oh, I'm noticing there that that center part of that fish was not selected. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make sure that's selected. Okay, let's come back here to Refine Edge again. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to come up to Edit, Copy. Go back to Coral Reef, edit, paste, click on my Move To, move this down. I'm going to rotate it up a little bit, place it, change the opacity down to 50%. Let's see. Maybe, depending upon where I put it, if I want to bring it up here or over here, I'm going to also change the size of it a little bit, make it smaller, and place it again. And yes, I'm going to make this about 50% opacity, maybe 60%. I'm going to make it look good, okay, so that it just kind of blends in with the other fish. Great. So now we need to go to step 4. And we're going to come back here to our sunflower. We're going to go in and we're going to use our quick selection tool to select our sunflower. We're going to make sure we click on Add to Selection. We're going to start with a little bit bigger brush, maybe about 50, 45. Just kind of go around and just do a quick selection on our flower. Okay, and we will check the Refine Edge on that. Looks pretty good. So I'm gonna like smooth it out a little bit. I'm gonna feather it. I'm gonna add a little bit of contrast, maybe just the radius a little bit. I don't want to see any blue sky. Okay, now I'm gonna come up here to Edit, Copy, go back to my Coral Reef, edit, paste. And then I'm going to move it into place. I'm actually going to move the sunflower up a bit, and I'm going to move it right about there, so half of it's showing. And I'm going to click on my Shift key, and I'm going to just change the size of it a little bit and move it up. And I'm going to go Enter. Okay. Now I'm going to come down here to my Create. Let's see here. After I entered it, yes, I'm going to come up here to my Image Adjustments, and I'm going to go to Hue Saturation. And I am going to basically pull up my hue saturation options here. So let's see. That would be not that box. Move this out of the way. There we go. It's right here, and I'm going to make this, aha, I'm not on the right layer. I need to be up here, okay, on my flower. Let's see. Okay, what am I doing here? Yeah, now I'm going to the image along the top workspace. I'm going to adjustments, hue, saturation. Okay, I actually don't want to add this, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that, okay? I'm going to delete that. I forgot that we're going to do it a different way, okay? What we're going to do instead is we're going to highlight our layer, and we're actually going to call that sunflower, okay? And while we're at it, let's just name this one fish number 2. Okay, so we're going to come back here to sunflower, and we're going to highlight that, and we're going to come up here to image, adjustments, hue, saturation. Okay, so now we're pulling up a whole brand new dialog box, and we are going to make this sunflower blue. Okay, so we're going to adjust it so it looks kind of bluish. I'm trying to get to that. We're going to adjust the flower so it has like the same aqua blue as the coral reef. Okay, so we're going to adjust that. And sometimes you have to kind of play with all of these to get it to do what you want it to do. I'm going to kind of desaturate it a little bit. And we're also going to come down here, and we're going to click on this little colorize box, okay, and adjust it a little bit more so it's like that blue, and let's make it 100%. Kind of make it that aqua blue color. There we go. I like that color. So you want this flower to match the same color as the coral reef down here. In order to do that, you have to click on colorize. Okay, you have to click on this colorize button down here at the bottom, and you're going to say okay. And now we are going to adjust the opacity to 50% on the flower. And then we are going to double click in the layer and add a outer glow, okay, to the flower. So if we move this out of the way, we click on outer glow, and we're just going to blur it out a little bit and say okay. Okay, so if we check the outer glow size, we'll see that we can go all the way up to 250. So let's do that and click OK. Basically what we've done is we created kind of a faux sun with the sunflower and like the rays coming down from the sun rays. Kind of gives it the impression that the sunflower is a sun and it's casting these pretty rays in the water. And now you want to save your folder. You want to save your work in your folder, and you're going to compare to File, Save As, and you're going to go to the P drive. Okay, so find the P drive, and you're going to find your name, and you're going to name it PCP2 underscore your first initial and your last name, and you save it as a PSD file, and then you're done. And you have your final results here. Thank you very much for listening to our demonstration today.